I heard like a really interesting kind of phrase, actually it was this week, around, there's this whole thing of money can't buy time. In business, that's exactly what money can buy. If you have no money in the bank, right, you have no time. If you got loads of money in the bank or behind you, you've got loads of time.
Yeah.
So that's I think has to apply for the fundraiser. And if your business is going into a scale up and like you are really eager to take the market, you're going to have to compromise in certain terms that you probably would have wished for, would have really loved. But that's just the part of now you have a price to pay because you need something fast.
You can kind of feel momentum building, which is really exciting.
Yes.
Because also like that energy. It sounds so fluffy, but like the energy that I can feel with the company and showing that to investors that like we're on this rocket ship and you can get on and enjoy this or you're gonna miss out.
It's like the runner's high, there's entrepreneur's high as well. It's like you started your run and you're struggling, and then midway through you're like, I can actually do this. I'm a great runner. I'm just gonna run every day, and then towards the end you're like, oh, this is harder than expected, but I'll keep running. Hey everybody, welcome back to Built from Scratch, episode 22. My name is Eric. I'm 24 years old, entrepreneur, living in Ireland. I'm the CEO of Grafton Digital, where we do digital transformation for enterprise, and I'm also the COO for Olive for Education, where we're on a mission to give every kid in Ireland the opportunity to get their own device with preloaded software in a safe and secure environment. And we're on a mission to democratize access to technology in general. And we've got a podcast together here with Dara. We've known each other for 7 or 8 years now in business.
We've known each other
quite a bit.
12, 13 years, but business 7 years.
7, 8 years now, yeah.
My name is Dara. I'm 23 years old. I co-founded Grafton Digital with Eric when I was in school. I exited last year and I'm building Magnate, which is going to be the smartest and fastest messaging platform that connects to all your current platforms. We're also the co-owners of Sky Park, which is a car park centre located in the middle of Galway City.
Galway City's best car park with premier experience.
All pre-bookings and really flying right now, which is amazing.
Absolutely, yeah. We've signed a big deal on that one today. Actually. So that was awesome. We're pretty much like full up now for the remainder of the term. So that's exciting.
It was
good
great
things. It's good to see like things come to fruition after 12 months of building, and it's like that's your overnight success.
Yeah, it was just, and again, I think I was even talking to the lady that we're doing the deal with there this morning, like it was just because with Sky Park it's pre-bookings only, that we had to find a customer segment that really liked the idea of the comfort of a pre-booking, because like
100%,
and the learning for anyone out of this was when we initially walked in, we thought, okay, the locals will just book in for a couple hours.
Knowing they want to go to get their shopping, go in, park in. And we didn't try hard enough either to experiment with it, but it was just not working out fast enough.
No, well the feedback I got from people is that they didn't like the idea of having to guess how many hours they needed to be in town.
Yes.
So it wasn't flexible enough for that. Like if you want to get a coffee, you need to leave early.
Yes.
You had no flexibility, and there's nothing on the platform to just extend it very easily either to make a new booking. So. Whereas with the overnight bookers or the office workers that are in really regularly, like a monthly pass, they all really like it because they're just in and out and it's all very seamless, and a pre-booking is great because they know peace of mind wise that they're able to, they know they have a guaranteed car parking space. So
that makes sense.
Yeah, so, but we hit with that in November, December, September, first big deal. And we're full tilt.
It's been going great,
So that was, but how's your week been? It's Friday today.
Yeah, it's just so many bank holidays and May holidays, and this is just such a weird week. I don't know, this week has just been fairly fast for me. I'm just working on a couple of big things at the moment. I've been in the office mostly this week, and it's just been overall good, but I don't have anything big I can really talk about yet. We've just been extremely busy executing and then doing some things, hopefully for Q4, Q1 next year. So that about, so it's exciting.
Really exciting.
So I'm just kind of in stealth mode on that for the next foreseeable couple of weeks, and I'm looking forward to a bit of a bank holiday, but then as well it's just been so many Easter holiday, then it was May bank holiday there yesterday, the 1st of May. I didn't know it was a bank holiday, but it's a European bank holiday, and then next week, Monday is a bank holiday. So there's too many bank holidays. I don't know how many times they even said it.
As you can see, Eric's an employer of a good few people, and for any international listeners, a bank holiday means it's a compulsory day off for most industries.
Right.
So people still get paid. It's a paid holiday, but
paid holiday, but it's so unproductive to be like continuously being off, and you're just getting back, and you're like getting,
I think the comment section would not like your sentiment.
So unproductive, But look, it is what it is.
Yeah.
We have to accommodate. How was your week?
So I was on a really cool retreat last weekend.
You were, yeah.
So I can actually talk about it because they're going to be running one every 6 months. Now, no one applied because I want to keep going back to this. But basically, Eamon Leonard and Fiona Kelly from Baseline Co-working Space in Dublin arranged this retreat where they invited 25 early stage tech founders and 25 later stage. So like 25 are like seed and below, pre-seed, pre-revenue, pre-raise. And then some that are, the other half is Series A and above, basically. It was absolutely amazing. Like everyone's on a very similar trajectory. A lot of it was software people, and I just via the conversations able to learn a lot that you otherwise wouldn't be able to read in a book. You kind of need to hear people are in the space. This person just back from San Francisco. This person just raised in London. This person just raised there. They've just landed this customer. One of them, the founder of Graphy, was there. He's 150,000 monthly users. And like he's popping off. He's raised 10 million. He's on a crazy rocket ship. Des Traynor from Intercom was there. He was there all weekend. What an incredible...
He's a unicorn.
Incredible, yeah. Like obviously Intercom is a huge company, and what an incredible entrepreneur, and what a great mind in entrepreneurship. Listen to him speak. He was talking a lot about building out product, thought about features, how to expand, and Intercom's philosophy and the mistakes they made. Super valuable. And then Barry from, it was called Cubic Telecoms, it's now called Cubic 3. He sold half his business to SoftBank for hundreds of millions, and listening to his journey and the ups and downs, and what an absolute workhorse. So incredible room, very grateful for being invited to that, and definitely I learned a ton.
It's a cool place to go, right?
Yeah, and like they're looking to create environments for entrepreneurs to really learn, and we're in this amazing place, Cabu by the Lakes in Cavan, kind of a
Cavan. What an amazing place.
Yeah, but what an amazing, like Cabin by the Lakes is amazing. It's like a luxury cabin retreat.
Nice. Yeah.
Really cool. So I'm really grateful to go to that, learned a ton, and I'm looking forward to hopefully getting back going in 6 months' time again. But that was my weekend.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was all sponsored by Brown Jacobson. The guys were absolutely great guys as well, Will and Gavin, but they made it all happen. And then the rest of the week, I suppose, what we'll talk about more in the episode is I'm going to be, the plan is to go raise the pre-seed and head over to the States and do that in the next couple of months. So a lot of planning around that. And then the other thing as well, and we'll get into this more in the episode, I've been doing a lot of thought about what I need to have prepped ahead of going for a pre-seed to give us the best chances, because it's this interesting balance between what you have currently, users, what they like, but then what's the dream? Like, what's the end vision? What does that actually look like? And again, even with the likes of Lovable and softwares like that, where you can make mock-ups really quickly and interactive demos really quickly, it's important that you have that balance of putting the time into the long-term vision and not just being like feature by feature to the product, because people want to be able to touch and feel the finished thing, and like, what am I investing into? So I'll get more into that in a second, but really great week. I actually had a fantastic week, and then obviously landed a deal this morning with
it was a nice way to end the week.
Yeah. And again, entrepreneurship's not always like this.
No. This was particularly a good week overall, I think, for everybody. So that's great. I think, as people could probably tell from the title of this episode, we're going to be deep diving into fundraising. Probably breaking it down head to toe in terms of like the lingo that's used in the whole industry, and how things work, things that you probably learned over even this weekend. Was probably a lot of value there, that wouldn't be spoken about openly, in terms of, it might be something that's just people just learned, and it's not having been shared or spoken enough about. Any hacks, any recommendations, just how do you even attack like a fundraising landscape?
So maybe what would be just a good starting point is, do you want to kind of give your background of what fundraising, or like just roughly what your experience is of fundraising?
Yeah.
Because obviously I haven't fundraised yet, so I think it'd be good for you to do you explain it, and then we can get into it then, because obviously we're on two different sides.
Absolutely. Like in January this year, we went on a fundraiser with one of the businesses I'm involved in, and we actually fundraised majority of the money in the United States. In New York, really, we've raised a little bit over $10 million, and it was kind of structured. It wasn't part of a round that would be traditional of like seed, pre-seed revenue or valuation. We have actually raised from financial institutions and some funds to boost our growth here, because we're a scale up in Ireland, and we've closed it in like 6 weeks. So it was like really fast, really, really productive, but it did help that we've had, the right people tell us what to do and just give us really solid direction, and we kind of just had to follow it, introduce it, and make it, a proposal worth investing in, and then do all the hard work between obviously January into this year to be like, hey, we've actually done it. You guys are happy now. Here's the results. So that's my little background on fundraising, and was just actually very recently.
Yeah, and like for context, 6 weeks is absolutely incredible to close that.
It was, yeah.
Really fast.
It was, but we had to make it like really fast. And that's like, I think fundraising can go on for months and months on end. But you'll probably hear a lot of founders recommend you to like pick a block of time and actually just use that to fill it up, and just purposefully go make phone calls if you want, go to introductions, shop around, see what type of money, whose money, and where to get it from, right? Because it's or otherwise, I think it's just going to be a total waste of your time. It's just going to drain a lot of your time.
One of the major things I learned from the weekend, which I would have been aware of, but it was really reinforced the weekend, is that a lot of Irish founders just go to the Irish VCs and they don't look any further afield, and they don't leave that sphere. And like, I suppose from a founder perspective, if you're looking to go global and you're looking to have a really big, expansive project, it's very valuable. And I think you're silly not to go look further afield, go to the US, boots on the ground, look at San Francisco, look at New York, go to Europe, hit the financial hubs, and go talk to lots more people. Because especially I think if it's your first raise, which I'm going into as well, you have such little information on it. And even I was talking to a guy where he's even saying country to country, like some countries are more conservative, where like if you're being really bold, they're like, don't say that. Where you go to another country and they're like, you're not bold enough, go more bold. Especially the US, they like big ambition. They want you to go take big swings, because it can really happen. And especially in the AI space, there's been a few companies just pop off. And I think there's a lot of hype around AI, because there's a lot more understanding now of where the landscape is going, and companies that can see the roadmap, that can be absolutely huge. Like Cursor AI in the first 2 years or 3 years has done 300 million in actual. They have 300 million ARR.
Insane.
Yeah, crazy. So like there's that, and there's like Fixer AI in the messaging space, and just things are popping off. So so there's a lot of hype around it. But I think the big one is looking further afield and not just stopping at your country's borders, because we live in a very globalized world now with the internet, and your quick flight, especially here in Ireland, is so great. You're only a couple hours away from Europe, a few hours away from the US, and you're able to have access to so much more money options. And then that's just is best for your business, because at the end of the day, from my understanding, you can get money from anywhere. There's lots of different money. You can get VC money, which is venture capital money, which is an institution that helps enable scale-ups and startups. But then there's angel money, which is an individual giving you money. Then there's obviously state bodies, like here in Ireland, there's Enterprise Ireland, which is designed for fast expanding enterprises. And obviously then there's, like you said, the financial institutions, which you more utilize, which is pension funds, banks, et cetera. So it's looking at like there's pros and cons to all of them. I think it's important then when you're a founder is trying to look at all that, because I think being a founder, there's so much, especially when you've never been in business before, there's so much you need to learn, and it's so overwhelming that maybe people don't do enough due diligence. I really feel like the big regret.
They rush into it.
Yeah, they're like, someone's giving me a check, I can't make wages. I just need to take it. And hearing the horror stories of then the solicitors that have to deal with the breakups of companies, liquidation, you know, the money you take really early can kill your business if it's not taken correctly.
I heard a really interesting kind of phrase, actually it was this week, around, you know, there's this whole thing of money can't buy time.
Yeah.
In business, that's exactly what money can buy. If you have no money in the bank, right, you have no time. If you've got loads of money in the bank or behind you, you've got loads of time.
Yeah.
So that's I think has to apply for the fundraiser. And if your business is going into a scale up and like you are really eager to take the market, you're going to have to compromise in certain, you know, terms that you probably would have wished for, would have really loved. But that's just a part of, now you have a price to pay because you need something fast.
Yeah.
Right? Now, if you've got so much time and you exactly want to refine the type of investors, maybe you want to go extra strategic, maybe your industry is very wide, maybe it's very niche. So you just have to identify what type of money and how fast you need it. Then you can, I think, start to make, okay, here are the potential you know, markets, people, or, you know, funds I can start to tap into to fundraise.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so definitely, and I think the whole idea, leveraging off what you said there, it's, you know, you're able to unlock a team now, marketing budget now, sales budget now, that may, if you bootstrapped it, might take you 2 years to get to. And by having the velocity and the speed and the skill set that these people all focus on your thing, it can just massively expand. And obviously what we looked at before, and it's one thing from Richard Branson that always stuck with me is, you know, Virgin brand has, you know, 50 plus companies underneath it. And his model early days was, go find the COO of the biggest player or one of the biggest players and go
poach them,
make them CEO,
yeah.
Give them equity, and someone walks into a company and goes, I know exactly how this should look.
Yeah.
And he's done that over and over and over again. And it's such a proven model, and you know, people able to walk in, but compared to, okay, you can afford this sort of talent now, you can afford this budget of marketing now, okay, we need to keep trotting along, okay, a bit more cash flow, okay, reinvest. Whereas obviously venture capital or strategic capital allows you then to speed that up and get there faster.
100%, and I think ultimately one of the biggest things to learn in business is the word leverage.
Yeah.
Right, you need to leverage money, people, and capital. Yeah. In order to build a successful business. And when you start to fundraise, right, you are under leveraging yourself because you are now looking to, I suppose, you know, if you're making fast and irrational decisions out of, you know, need, and it's like, oh, my business might run out of cash in the next 2 months. So now what will happen is you're going to get worse deals because people are going to look at it and they have the other side of the leverage stick. Right? So I would urge every founder, before they commit to fundraising, is to really analyze of like the speed and the type they're looking to raise at and raise for. Because I think that, like, I would think we've all heard horrendous examples of people went out, fundraised, you know, they filled their cap table with checks. But what started happening is people weren't exactly interested in the, you know, the vision and the mission. Some funds will, you know, take the bone marrow out of the business because they're just there to drive money. So if you let the wolf in, don't be, you know, like surprised that, you know, the chickens are gone the next morning. So it's like, you have to really, really make sure that you make your bed right there. Because I just continuously hear that, you know, founders just choose bad investors, bad money, short sight is like happening all the time on it. And also founders don't know what they want to spend the money on. Like purpose is just so important. And like, it's okay to have the purpose. I just want to fundraise money just to have money. Right, as a business, our businesses out there, they'll say, oh, we're just raising, we don't know how much we're raising, but if you're interested in putting in money, contact us. Like they're just building, you know, like an armory, you know, of cash. But going back, I suppose, I think what we could, you know, deep dive into, because I think the audience will be very keen on hearing, is with the types of fundraising that exists and the type of phases, can we both agree there's no right or wrong way to attack this?
No.
Because there is just so many like metrics of your pre-money, post-money, you know, and there's just endless variations on a fundraiser. And I think, like, obviously the traditional stage is pre-seed,
Yeah.
right? A seed investment,
Yeah.
right? And just want to highlight, pre-seed is probably for you to figure out your product, figure out your business potentially.
Yeah.
Seed is probably to build the solution exactly how, you know, that can solve that problem that you thought during the pre-seed stage, can actually go and help you penetrate markets, can actually help you start momentum, right? And the time frame between the two is probably 12 months, usually.
Yeah, 12 to 24 months
12
usually.
to 24 months.
Yeah.
The next big boys are the A's and the B's and the C's, right?
Series A, B, C, D, yeah.
So your your A is when you are looking to go really big, or you're looking to now like make a really big play, or you are now looking to acquire somebody, right? You have, but like I would assume that's probably usually 2-3 years down the line after you've raised your, you know, seed money. So let's start off with the pre-seed that you're entering into at the moment.
Yeah.
What is your kind of framework in how are you going to approach it? What have you learned recently that's really was like a little bit of a light bulb moment? Because I think it's like this is just such an endless pit of information opportunity, right? So maybe we start with that.
Yeah, so my misunderstanding of pre-seed was I thought by holding out longer that it would help the valuation of the business. And it does kind of, but the way pre-seed usually works for most people is you take the money in through a financial instrument called a safe note. And basically a safe note is, I'm gonna give you money now, and in the future, once you have real revenue and you have real economics of a business, you can actually value it based on revenue and pipeline and all these different things that help value a business. Then they get a discount. So usually you get a 20% discount at that point. So your money doesn't convert to equity until that stage. So you get money now to get running and get it running fast, which is quite risky money for investors. But at the next stage, when you get to seed or Series A, when there's an official value put on the business, then you convert to equity, but you're guaranteed a discount, which means that instantaneously your investment's already kind of gone up at that stage. I thought, which is still kind of true, like obviously there's this whole thing about like, usually there's two different types of safe notes. There's capped and there's uncapped. So uncapped means that the next valuation can be absolutely anything and your money will convert to equity at that stage. But what usually investors will do will go, okay, we'll give you money now, but if your valuation goes over 7 million, we still get a discount of 7 million. We're not going past that because we don't think that's enough percentage for us to be worth, the deal is worth it. So a lot of the people there had taken money quite early. They'd taken a few $100,000 or even a couple million. They gone to San Francisco or so. There was a lot of US money that had been raised and some Irish money. But the big belief for me is, okay, I spent all this time, I've self-funded / grants, been able to get the company to here. There's 4 of us going full time. For us to hit the next stage is our MVP trials went really well. We're on the verge of being able to publish version 1 publicly. And we have a really great wait list, was only building day over day. Okay, now I want a cash injection of a pre-seed so that I can bring more of a tech team in to evolve out the product, because there's a few different dimensions to what Magni will be able to do. And we're probably gonna be a B to C to B. And what that actually means is that you advertise and sell to individuals, but those individuals then bring the software into the company. And that, in business terms, means you're spending a lot of money on marketing, because you have to get in front of lots of people lots of times, and it takes people usually anywhere from 4 to 26 times to start trusting a brand. So you imagine all the money you need to spend to get there. So my big thing is I'm very clear on, I want to get more product people in, and we want to ramp up marketing to really hit the ground running, because we fully understand what the pain point is we're focused on. And the interesting thing is, which is the kind of worrying part, is when people take in money really early, is until you're super clear on who you're selling to and what pain you're solving, I think it's quite dangerous to give someone money. And it's the only thing I've seen people spin out, because when you're not super clear on that, when you're trying to solve everything and everything's getting thrown at you and you don't have a super clear image, it's quite dangerous. Like Des, trainer from Intercom, was talking about product, and he was saying that anytime that Intercom over the years have deviated from their core mission, he's like, you'll get some dead revenue, so they'll see a bit of a revenue uptick, but it then kills off and just distracts the company from what it's trying to accomplish. And even with Magnate, early days, we started adding in calendar and adding in the taskbar and all that sort of stuff. And those things will come in time.
You went very wide straight away.
Very wide. I was like, I want to be the best solution. But what I realized over time is that I just want to be the best messaging platform. Magnate is focused on getting people's time spent on messaging down to as low as possible. And if it's not doing that, I don't want to know about it. I think it's that focus then that I'm going to go into the pre-seed raise with and go for safe notes. And I'm probably going to go to US side because a lot of our demand is coming out of the US, and this is where I think the real scale is for Magnate, and it's where where people are banging our door down. And there's an element of just follow the demand,
100%.
So that's I know it's a bit of a ramble, but that's kind of where my head's at. That's
exactly where it's at. You see, and then like you're looking to go to the tech hub of it all, and where the Metas and other multi-billion, trillion-dollar companies were birthed.
Yeah.
What's something I think is like a must-have on pitch decks when you're raising at pre-seed?
Yeah, it's interesting. I was talking to a guy called James Kelly. He's a company called Agile Pitch, and he just did an accelerator in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Which is led by Jason J-Cal. He is early investor in Uber, Robinhood, and he's on the All In podcast, which I really enjoy listening to. It's interesting. I saw his pitch deck yesterday, and his pitch deck is super focused on. For San Francisco, is super product focused. They really want to see, and they jump in. The first slide on the deck is a snapshot of the product. They super product focused because there's a certain tempo in San Francisco that's just kind of expected. Because obviously there's such depth of engineering capability
in there. It's that's like the home of engineering. So that makes total sense.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought of that actually. So one very important point there is clearly know the market you're pitching to, and just know what it like just knowing in Ireland, for example, investors are not as tech oriented, but they really need a tech founder, co-founder involved in the business. So in San Francisco, clearly the investors sitting across you are actually very well versed around technology, understand what things like API first approach means, cloud, scalable infrastructure. And that's those things to present and show how we're going to get SOC 2 compliancy, the ISO certificates, that just give them that sort of clarity. So that's a really interesting point.
Yeah.
So you start off with the product, you go through it. So let's take San Francisco as a prime example. Probably a lot of people are, especially young people, are looking to go over doing the Y Combinator. Which is, I think, is a fantastic, rocket fuel of an opportunity for anybody to get in and get their startup out there and build it. But after the technology, what else are you looking to present on your pitch deck? Yeah,
like the whole thing is it's the story of how you ended up there, and that's the big one. Like the whole thing is like how did you end up here? So they need a full story of the pain point. Preferably, it's best if you've had the pain point or it's been a pain point very close to you. Why are you the person to do it? This is the founding team. This is the advisors. Then it's size of market, because if your market is tiny and you're the best solution, you'll still make no money. And again, like the venture capital, like the general like investing in startups is, they're looking, it's like the record label model. They'll invest in 10 and hopefully one or two pop off and make 100x or 10x or 50x. And that pays for the entire fund plus some. So they need to make sure that when you're going into it, that you have the best chance possible. They want to see a large market and they want to preferably see a growing market. So that's looking at your TAM, SAM, and SOM, which is just a total addressable market, serviceable addressable market, and service obtainable market. In essence, what's all the money being spent in that sector, and how much of it do you think you can get a hold
It's
of?
the circle inside of a circle that's inside of a circle.
And then is that big enough that we think that you have a shot at taking some of it?
Right.
And then it's a case of like, why are you raising money? So it's like, okay, how did you end up here? Why you? What's the size of the market? How are you going to solve it? Why now? Why has this not been solved before? That's a really big one that a lot of people get, I think, tripped up on talking to some of the VCs. There's a few international VCs there at the weekend. Why now? Like, why wasn't it solved 10 years ago? And really having a good answer for that's really important. And then, like you talked about then, I think it's like, what are you using the money for? And why is this money going to be well spent to get you to the next milestone? And having very clearly defined milestones of like, if I raise $1 million, here's how much you get of the company, here's how I'm going to spend it. And my desire is by spending that $1 million, we're going to have X amount of users, Y amount of revenue. And this is how it's going to leverage us up to, and again, this is the game, is that you probably then roll into a seed. Because a pre-seed is supposed to be roughly about 18 months of runway. That's the whole thing. And then you raise your seed and you keep going. And each of those raises gives an opportunity to your investors to exit. So they can actually go, no, I want out now. I've made 2x my money. I've had enough now. I want to get bought out. So there's an element of a game there inside of that. But that would be the pitch deck, I think. But again, so by seeing his pitch deck that's been guided San Francisco-wise, it's like, it's interesting, the pacing of it's very quick. They throw you into the product and go, here's how we're solving it, here's the pain point. And they almost reverse engineer it then back to like, and the final.
This is okay.
And then the end of it is like, here's the founding team.
Yeah.
And here's how we're the guys or ladies who are going to make it happen. So it was really interesting. I'd never seen a layout like that before, which was super insightful. And James up to some really good stuff. He's just raised 200,000, and I think he's going to raise now again a good seed. So he's really cool guy to watch out for.
Yeah, no, I think that's excellent. I think the way you described it is pretty clear. Show that the opportunity is big enough.
Yeah.
Show that your product idea is good enough.
Yeah.
And show that you're the guy to do it.
Totally.
And or the person to do it, because it's like ultimately what an investor wants to do is, okay, I understand a little bit about this. If I write this person a check, will it give me my dividend in 3, 4, 5 years' time?
Yeah.
And that's what their side of the table. They make money by giving you money.
Totally.
So be prepared to be able to take money, be prepared to negotiate for the right deal, and be sure to say what you need in terms of terms as well, because that's the way you're going to enjoy that relationship.
Yeah.
If you kind of both sides, as a win, that they both enjoy the whole collaboration piece.
Yeah.
So I think that's just super important.
Yeah, 100%. And again, I think the big one I've seen or I heard at the weekend as well is that people get tripped up on early days is go to a solicitor that does this for a living. Don't get your local family solicitor who done your parents' like marriage certificate or whatever, because
that's so funny. Yeah,
because
I'm actually on that other side. There's this customer of ours, and they're going through IP assignment, and essentially they're going through with a family office type solicitor firm that's never touched IP assignment. The type of questions we're having to answer on our side is like, oh my God, we've never ever had to like fight this before, and it's just like, get a support local and everything, but go to specialist people who do this day in, day out.
Yeah, because otherwise you can really end up in diffs.
But they'll also know the pitfalls and what to look out for. And remember, like hiring a solicitor or any legal person or an accountant, they're there to support you and back you and make sure to keep you out of trouble. And to think for you. That's the service they're providing. They're not a person of, like that's going to be your enemy. They're the heroes of it all.
They're fighting your corner.
Right.
And again, a lot of the solicitor firms, especially at startup, they won't charge you until after they've done the work, and like they also use.
They understand you've got no money.
They have no money,
and you're just figuring it out, and like they're taking a risk, and but ultimately they know that once you fundraise, it's part of your fundraise probably to pay the legal fees.
And then the way they design their fees is that they get bigger and bigger over time as you raise more and more money. They're usually going to maybe not make a tremendous amount on you early days, but hopefully they keep doing good work for you, is that they eventually do your Series A, Series B,
Your
Series C.
lifetime value as a customer is just going to stupidly increase, right?
And again, like obviously, like Brown Jacobson are a new firm in Ireland. They were UK, they're launched in Ireland. They sponsored the event. They're really getting into the scene. Yeah, it's just interesting listening to the guys of them come into the market, and both Will and Gavin have decades of experience in doing this. But just listening to some of the horror stories, because like there's certain terms that can really nail you, like there's stuff like anti-dilution. So this whole game is like, when you take money on, usually you're giving away equity and everyone gets diluted down. But some people will try and put in like anti-dilution. So like, we can't get diluted until X valuation, or like, you know, which can really hurt a founder. Or like the other one is board seats. So obviously, like
the voting power.
Voting power. So people can come in, if they take more of the board seats, they vote every month when there's suggestions and direction of the business. You can get outvoted in your own company.
Quickly, yeah.
You also hear in some VC funds that if they smell blood in the water, that they'll rip the IP out of the company, sell it separately. I've heard so many horror stories the weekend. So I think the big one that I'm definitely just being conscious of, and I'm going to go with Brown Jacobson, and they're not sponsoring this, but they're just the guys have just been fantastic to deal with, truthfully, is making sure that all of this is considered going in. And just because it could be cheaper maybe to go with your local solicitor, don't do it, because these guys see it day in, day out. And they also see the whole life cycle. So they go everything, and like there's lots of corporate lawyers, but they go from pre-seed all the way to exit. So they see the decisions made at pre-seed, how this can impact you at exit. So having that snapshot and that insight, I think, is absolutely invaluable. So I think it's really important that that does not get overlooked, because I have heard people just overlooking that, and then they get given term sheets, which is your offer for your investors. And then they're like, yeah, perfect, let's do it. And you could be signing the debt to your businth, you know, and you don't even realize that your company starts bleeding out from that moment, you know, so.
You just signed your own death warrant.
Yeah, so just another one I think is just a big thing if you're going raising money. And again, I look forward, hopefully in the podcast is coming back in a couple of months and being like, right, we raised, here's what I actually learned from doing it tactically.
Absolutely,
you know?
Absolutely. So you're looking at doing it in kind of August?
June, July.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but again,
5 weeks.
The plan is to probably go over to the States for a good few weeks and go over. Probably hit New York and then hit San Francisco.
Okay, nice.
And spend a while over there.
That's fun.
I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be really. I'm going to learn so much, and that's the main thing. I'm going to learn a tremendous amount.
Yeah.
And Magnet's really like the momentum. It's so wild. You can kind of feel momentum building, which is really exciting.
Yes.
Because also like that energy. This sounds so fluffy, but like the energy that I can feel with the company and showing that to investors, that like, we're on this rocket ship and you can get on and enjoy this, or you're going to miss out.
Yeah. But Darry, like it's like the runner's high, there's entrepreneur's high as well. You know, it's like you started your run and you're struggling, and then, you know, midway through you're like, I can actually do this. I'm a great runner. I'm just going to run every day. And then towards the end you're like, oh, this is harder than expected, but I'll keip running.
Yeah,
so it's like,
totally. Good as
it's like good to be on an entrepreneur's high, and it's like that's what will keep you, you know, from the shutters closing and for you to like lose sight of where you want to go and what you want to do. And you should always be on an entrepreneur's high, because business is exciting. As much as the great things happen, there's a lot of bad things that happen, but like, you know, the good and the great outweighs the bad, and that's ultimately what will forge you to be like the best possible entrepreneur. And you know, to be exposed to so many situations is what this is all about. You know, it's like, I still meet, you know, founders who are in their 60s, 70s, and they are still learning to date. They're still having different problems, and they love it day in, day out. They wouldn't change it. You know, if they you know, spend 2-3 days relaxing, they feel guilty because they're like, I should be working. Or I should be doing this. I can't get lazy. I need to get to, you know, $1 billion stage, or your multi-billion-dollar stage. Or I need to, you know, everyone has this itch that they want to get out of them, and that's like the whole founder mentality. Is you're continuously evolving. You're always building, and it's not about not having ever enough or anything like that. It's about you're always wanting to challenge yourself more, drive yourself further, and want to get, you know, to different levels of this. You know, because that's what that's just like, you know, going to the gym. You want to see yourself progress and get on with it. It's the same thing in business. You want to see yourself progress quickly. And that quickly is the 10 years, is, you know,
Totally.
behind every overnight success, there's 10 years in the making.
Yeah.
And I've just seen that day in, day out.
Yeah, and again, it's totally. And again, like there's so many different types of business. Every business has its own, you know, pros and cons, and like it is really
The grass is never greener on the other side. Like when I say that, like the amount of times that I think we all fall into that whole pit of comparing yourself to others, like just want to say it's like don't, because you just don't know what that person has gone through, will go through, or is going through. And it's like just continue focusing on your own trajectory and mind your own business.
Yeah.
Isn't that the
Totally.
the whole thing? Because it's especially in today's world where it's all about, you know, entrepreneurship has this massive LA effect around it of like, oh, look at me, I'm doing great, and
That's so cool,
I'm just on boats, and you know, I'm just writing checks every day, I'm buying cars, and that's not what this is about. And this is an unsexy, difficult job.
Yeah.
But it's extremely rewarding and it's extremely fun. So if you can handle it, and if you can actually push through and pull through, and once you can crack that, I'm all for it. Give it a go.
And one thing I had heard, and we were talking to a guy about this, is that before you start a business, and you really want to think it through, and you're going to take a big swing at something, go talk to people in that industry and ask them what the worst part of their day is every day. Because every single section of business has its downsides, has its ugly truths, has the thing you're going to have to put up with. Like obviously in a service-based business, bootstrapping, usually it's just cash flow. You just like, you work so hard to make a few bob.
It's time, cash flow, logistics, growth management, capital, recognition. There's a load of different problems.
And like and again, like what a lot of agencies get caught in is that they just do project work where it's like, and at a fixed price. It's like, here's $2 grand, $5 grand, 10 grand, and you're like, I need to win the next big business.
They cap themselves.
And they just need to keep trying to win business just to keep the lights on.
Yeah.
And obviously what we did with Grafton was transition away from fixed pricing to project lengths, where it's a monthly retainer every month working towards 100%. A goal. And that's how you're able to
absolute game changer.
Change the entire business.
Do services for bigger businesses, they just pay better.
Yeah.
You know?
And then in software, like even in our first year at Grafton, we still made a good few grand. Whereas in software, even to get like 20 euros a month out of someone,
you're gonna have to spend a couple grand.
Like hundreds of thousands, like the amount of hours you put into this, and something has to be excellent to even get past the free trial stage. So there's so much upfront required. And if your product's not good, you won't even be able to get like 10 or 20 quid, which, as we know in business, gets you absolutely nowhere. So what I've really learned about this is that the whole game, it's really like a tastemaker. You need to have a really good eye for software. It needs to be amazing for the end user and add so much value. And they still might only pay you like 30, 40 quid a month. And you know, you still need to justify every day, need to justify your value. Never mind the shift in landscape that, you know, is SaaS gonna die? Is it gonna be agents on your phone? What does that look like? You know,
it's whatever we all ultimately decide the market to go. It's wherever the biggest push is, that's where it's going to go.
Totally.
So like, I think it's our job is to, you know, contribute or sit back and watch. So you have to decide if you're in or out.
Totally, and again, and I think that's the big thing is like every business has its downsides. The grass is not greener. You just actually don't know what the downsides are.
Yeah, you just didn't walk in that founder's shoe.
So I think absolutely. I think we're actually probably around.
Absolutely. And today the lights are on extremely strong. So it's actually very hot in here today.
It's very hot.
So I was like, whether it's 35 minutes or not, I was like, we need aircon or something in the studio. But guys, if you made it this far, I really appreciate the support. We're posting weekly. We're available on all social platforms, so make sure you check us out. Please like and subscribe if you're new to the channel, and turn on that notification bell, and we'll see you next week.